Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Would you rise up in body and spirit, please, and join us in our first hymn? It's number 169. We Shall Overcome, number 169.
Everyone who is in here, most of you have not even sat down yet, so let us sing together, please. Hymn number 169. Good morning, and thank you all for joining us on this Easter April morning as we continue on our path of resistance together. My name is Petra. I use the pronouns she and her, and I am the worship committee chairperson and your worship associate for this service today. My welcoming words are from Reverend Gretchen Haley. They are entitled, "This Wholeness is Our Practice of Resistance." Although there remains too much evidence of the world breaking apart at coastlines, congressional hearings, and kitchen tables, inside the quiet places of your heart and mine, there resides still the seeds, the longing to return to this knowing that we belong to each other, this earth, this life, to remember ourselves and all of our lost pieces, beloved in ways that cannot be undone, to dwell here in this healing, this hope, this wholeness is our practice of resistance. Even in rage, we refuse to relinquish gratitude or joy. Come, let us worship together. Let us bless this sacred space by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our faith. Dakota, are you back there? Would you please come forward and light our chalice as a symbol of the gratitude that we have for this life and for each other, and for the joy that still remains a certain gift that we can share with one another. Please arise once again in body or spirit to sing and sign hymn number 123, Spirit of Life.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Heather Norby. I am the Spiritual Life Director for this congregation, and I use the pronouns she and her. I'm so glad to be with you this morning on what we call Easter morning, and I love that some of you dressed up and wore your hats. Of course, we will have hats for the rest of you, if you'd like. After the service, we're going to decorate hats and have a potluck. So glad that you are here to celebrate with us. Our mission here at UUCL is love plus connection equals transformation. So I call you now into this connection part by lifting up some of the opportunities for being together that we have happening around here soon. Well, today, first of all, is a multi-generational service. We do this once a month. We have the children worship with us. This helps them learn how to worship, and plus then we get to be together with them and to hear them, to see them. This is our faith growing when we incorporate our children into our worship. This Wednesday is Popcorn Theology, correct? Correct. Adam will be leading that. Do you know what you're watching yet?
Macy, do you want to talk? Okay, we know what we're doing. We're going to do the movie Crash.
Crash?
Yeah, about the interconnected web.
Okay, they're watching the movie Crash about the... It is rated R, so this is an adult evening. So if you have any more questions, please talk to Macy or Adam afterwards. And that's at 6:30 in the sanctuary. I want to give a great big thank you to everyone who was able to come to work day yesterday. Of course, Ken and Dorothy coordinated the work day, so thank you so much, Ken and Dorothy. They do all sorts of work around here, and I know Dorothy was out there pulling weeds, and Ken put in some spotlights, and Many things, I'm sure. Many things. And many helpers.
They still pass out in the
Oh, poor Baisal. Thank you, Baisal, for trying to help us install wires. I know that Fran was able to do that last year, so maybe Francesca can do a repeat of getting up in the attic. That's a fun job when it's hot. Thank you to Maggie, to Petra, to Justin, to Jane, to Mark. Who else was there? Am I forgetting anybody? Maggie. Crystal? Okay, she must have left before. Jane? Yeah, I got Jane. All right, well, thank you to everybody. We really appreciate it. Okay, next week we have a town hall. We will be practicing our new decision-making procedure, which is Martha's Rules. And we are practicing because we're going to use that at our annual meeting on May 7th. And that's when we vote on things like the budget and board members for next year. And we also will have a conversation, a congregational conversation about engagement and volunteering and what we want for our year to look like. So we want all members to be there. If you're not a member and you're a friend, you can come too. It's just only members can vote. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know. And then next Sunday's worship service, we have a guest speaker, Deborah Gish, who will be coming to talk to us about some very interesting work that she did in Guatemala. So please join us for that. And of course, there's much more going on. Read the newsletter. If you don't get the newsletter, you can sign up for the newsletter in the hallway. It comes out every Wednesday and has all kinds of good information. Well, we're going to start off with a song that I'm teaching to the kids this month. Our monthly theme is resistance. And so we've been talking about protests. So often we go to protests to resist. And that's why we have signs up on the walls. And we're going to be singing some songs. So we have one. It's like a kid's protest song. It's called We're Gonna Shine. I don't know. We had it on paper, but we probably have, yes, we have it on the screen. And so I'd love for the kids to come forward. And Adam and I are going to teach this song. And we're all going to learn to sing it together. Here they come. Yay, look, we got these great Easter hats on already.
The children.
And the children, they come. All right. So I have a song. Would you like to sing? Yeah. Yeah. President loves to sing. Okay. It's called We're Gonna Shine. What does that mean, we're gonna shine? You don't know? Are you gonna hide? Are you gonna hide behind the curtain? You are? You're gonna hide behind the curtain, or are you gonna go out on stage and shine and say, this is who I am? He's gonna hide. Well, we want you to shine because we see how awesome each and every one of you is, right? And so we want to create a world where you're free to be you. Yeah? Calliope says, yeah. Okay. So, would you like to help us learn this song?
Of course.
Can you play it on the piano?
I sure can.
Okay.
It goes like this.
Goes like this.
Every day.
All right. Do you think you can sing that? You see the words up there? Yeah? Okay. You sing it with me? I need help. Okay. Let's try that again. Ready? Okay.
We're gonna shine. We're gonna shine. We're gonna shine. Every day. Anytime. When we're strong. When we're strong. When we're kind. When we're kind. We're gonna shine. We're gonna shine. We're gonna shine. We're gonna shine.
All right. Now let's learn a verse. keep singing that throughout the month, and by the end of the month, you'll know it like that, right? Lickety split. Okay, so here's the thing. It's a multi-generational service, and Melissa and Jerry aren't feeling well, so they're not here. Make sure you send them wishes to get better wherever they are. Yeah, but we have Mary here, and we have a new friend here. What's her name? Lucy with an I. Welcome, Lucy. So nice to meet you.
Yes, I'm Sabina, and this is my sister Ingrid. We hail from southern Delaware, about 20 minutes from Hoboken.
All right. Welcome. So, everyone's staying with us today, and I want you to be comfortable, so you're welcome to stay up here and hang out on cushions. Lucy, you're welcome to get a cushion and hang out, or you're welcome to go back to your seat. Whatever you want to do, we're kind of casual today, so. And I know that Clyde would probably be up and walking around visiting people, yeah. And maybe even Axel, too. Yeah. So, do you know why we have you come in and worship with us? What do you think? Why on earth would we want you in here worshiping with us? So you can learn to worship? Yeah. What does that look like? It's a community. We're all together. Yeah. And when we sing, and sometimes we listen, and sometimes we just do fun things, right? We eat. We're going to eat. We are going to eat, I promise. Yeah. But first what we do, that's a really important part. First we center ourselves in love, right? Because sometimes when we're out in the big wide world, we forget. There's a lot of stuff going on out there, and so we like to come back together, center ourselves in love, and know that we have each other so that we can keep it on. Yeah? Yeah. So let's center ourselves now. Take a deep breath. Get comfortable. Close your eyes if you wish. Our theme this month is resistance. The definition of resistance is the refusal to accept or comply with something, or the attempt to prevent something by action or argument. How are you called by the values of this faith? Values like love and hope, joy, justice. How are you called by these values to be resistant to powers of greed and hate and fear and discrimination? What is your heart calling you to do? Think about it. Eli Wiesel, Holocaust survivor and author, said, "We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented." Would you be able to resist such giant forces all on your own? How does being part of a community centered in love give you strength, resilience, and the determination to keep resisting? How will we shape this resistance that we find ourselves in right now? Will we shape it together? Will we be, as Holly Near sings in our hymn, a gentle, angry people, with hope and determination, with joy and creativity? Will we birth a new world fragrant with the blooms of liberation? What will this resistance look like? It's up to us. Petra, will you please facilitate the sharing of abundance? Thank you.
We are a community of seekers. We're a community of resistors. We have been able to sustain such community since 1955 because of the contributions of our ancestors, represented by these rocks here, and because of your contributions. The ushers will now pass the plates so that you can give as much as makes you feel good and grateful. Please know that you can also give on our PayPal link or on the Zelle app. What season are we in? Spring. It's rainy. It's springtime. We'd love some rain, wouldn't we? Because springtime is a season of renewal, right, and growth. Spring did actually start on March 20th, and we marked it here with a small celebration that included writing poetry to the trees and unwrapping beautifully decorated and colored eggs. Did you do anything special this year to celebrate the spring equinox?
Yes.
You did? What'd you do?
Sure.
You don't know? It was special, but
We painted eggs. We had a feast.
you painted eggs
To
and
celebrate all the equinoxes.
so they painted eggs and had a feast. They celebrate all the equinoxes. Do you call it Ostara? Okay, yeah. Ostara is the goddess, right? That pagans celebrate during the spring equinox. And of course, Ostara, sometimes also called, is it Yester? It's E-O-S-T-R-E? Yeah, so that's very similar to the word Easter, right? And so those two words are related, and that's where we got the name for today, which is Easter. So what is your favorite part? What's your favorite part of that celebration? What do you love the most? The feast. The feast? Yeah, the feast. That's a big part of holidays and holy days, isn't it?
We saged the house. That was my favorite part. Cleansed the house for spring.
Cleanse the house for spring.
So the girls, Callie took around the music shakers, and Isabella did sage with me. And walked around the house.
Wow, that sounds wonderful.
We also got to paint and hollow out eggs so that we
Okay.
could eat the shells.
Cool. Yeah, because when you spend a lot of time making the eggs beautiful and then you crack them open, it's heartbreaking.
Hollow them.
So hollow them first.
We have some of
Cool. Yeah, so we do also have some up here that were hollowed out and decorated. Thank you. Well, that sounds wonderful. What do you eat at your feast? Potatoes? Turkey?
chicken.
I think the chicken is here. Yeah, we did two little chickens.
Okay. Corn?
Everybody wanted a leg, so I got two little chickens. Because at our last Sabbath,
They like the chickens.
everyone, I'm not jealous, but there were only two legs.
And of course the big kids and the babies got that.
Cool. Lucy, do you do anything special this time of year? It's okay. Not much. Well, you're here today. We're going to do a lot of things. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of holidays and holy days that occur this time of year in other faith traditions. One of them is Passover. As the Unitarian Universalist Association explains, that today, Jews around the world, including Jewish Unitarian Universalists,
because remember, we have lots of different spiritual paths in Unitarian Universalism, they're celebrating Passover. This often includes the telling of the story of Exodus with its messages of struggle, of loss, of freedom, of justice and community. So I invited Joshua and Petra to tell us about Passover, because that's something that's been a part of their lives for many, many years. So, hand it to you, Petra. Petra's got it, eh? Okay.
Yeah, I got it. If you, when you want to do it,
Okay.
small piece of,
Sure.
and.
They even brought food.
Yeah, we brought food.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, the most fun part of the Passover Seder plate, yes.
Okay.
The Jewish,
Axel's excited.
the Jewish people have been Jewish people have been persecuted and oppressed for as long as history has been recorded. One of the most prominent stories is that of the story of Passover. In the beginning, these people were known as the children of God, or Israelites. It was later that they became known as the Jewish people. The Israelites lived in the area of Egypt, where they were respected and popular. This land was ruled by pharaohs. Well, after a while, one of those pharaohs became afraid that the Israelites were becoming too powerful, and he forced them into slavery. He made them all become slaves to do whatever it was that the Egyptians wanted them to do. After 400 years, that's longer than the United States has existed, folks, almost twice as long. After 400 years of slavery, another pharaoh had a dream that a male child of one of the Hebrew slaves would rise up against him to free all the slaves. Well, since it was going to be a male child just born at that time, he decided to eliminate all the male babies that were being born. But there was one lady who took her baby son, put him in a basket, and put him in the river. That baby was found by a princess who raised him as her own and named him Moses. Now, as Moses grew up, over the years, he learned the people who were chained into slavery for the Egyptians were his family, his lineage. They were people like him. So he wasn't too keen on that. Well, and the middle part of the story, because, Moses grew to be an 80-year-old man, is what he grew to be. And it would take a very long time to tell all that part. But one day, Moses had a vision, and that was the burning bush. Anybody that's heard of that story, the burning bush told Moses that he had to free his people. So Moses went to the Pharaoh at that time and asked him to release those people from slavery. But the Pharaoh said no. Of course, he's going to have to get rid of his slaves. No. Moses persisted, telling the Pharaoh that God would punish him and the Egyptians if they did not do that. So finally the Pharaoh agreed. And the Israelites all were packing up to leave when the Pharaoh said no again. So, according to the Bible, this is when God sent 10 plagues, or curses, against the Egyptians. First of all, the water turned to blood, or it appeared to do so. There's a scientific reason the roots made it look, at any rate. Then there were swarms of frogs everywhere. Everyone, including all the animals, were infected with lice. That was the next plague. Hordes of wild animals invaded the land everywhere. Then some sort of virus attacked all the domestic animals. That's the pets of the Egyptians. There were boils, hailstorms of fire and ice, swarms of locusts that ate all their crops. And then darkness covered the entire land. Now, scientifically, there are probably things that can explain all of this, but we're talking biblical terms here. And so they were seen as plagues and curses sent by God, who at that time was a very revengeful God, apparently. It was the 10th plague. That was 9. The last 10th plague that would be, scoop. Oh. Okay, it was the last 10th plague that set the stage for Passover. Because the 10th plague said that the firstborn male of all families, each family, would die, no matter how old that person was, or child. The Israelites were warned about this. They had that connection. And they were told that if they put blood of a lamb on their doorposts, the angel of death that was coming to take the firstborn of everyone would pass over their homes, and they would be spared. All their children would be spared. According to the biblical story, that's what happened. And the Jews have honored this miracle ever since. As in so many cultures, as we've heard a lot this morning already, the Jewish people remember their ancestors and their hardships they endured with family gatherings around food. At Passover, this includes a special ceremony called a Seder on the first 2 nights, in which they share special foods, and one of them is this haroseth we have here. They have a Seder plate. Do we have a picture of the Seder plate to show here? On the Seder plate, they have some of the very hard and kind of tasteless cracker that you have with the good stuff on it, which is called matzah. They have 3 pieces of matzah to represent the unleavened bread that the Israelites had to eat when they were fleeing the Egyptians. Remember, they were getting away from the Egyptians. We didn't even get into the Red Sea that parted in the Egyptians. And anyway, they also have a lamb bone on that Seder plate, signifying the blood on the door to protect the firstborn. Bitter herbs, which is usually something like horseradish, in remembrance of the slavery those people have endured so often. A hard-boiled egg to represent the cycle of life. Haroseth, which is what we passed out, that is apple and honey, basically. And walnuts, yes. Let's not forget the walnuts. We should have said that for people that are allergic to walnuts. Ooh. I hope nobody's allergic to walnuts. That represents the mortar used by the Israelites to build all those magnificent structures of ancient Egypt that they had to do during their slavery. A green vegetable, which is usually parsley, representing spring and the harvest, and a bowl of salt water in remembrance of the many tears of the Israelites over the centuries. The salt water is also used during the ceremony to dip other things into. In the center of the plate these days, according to some research, is an orange. One thing about a lot of Jewish ceremonies, it depends on where you're celebrating and with whom you're celebrating as to exactly how the Seder plate or anything is done. Some people may have the orange. They don't have it in the center of the Seder plate in the picture. But in this particular research, the center of the Seder plate has an orange as a gesture of solidarity with the Jewish LGBTQ plus community and other marginalized Jews. While the Jews continue to be victimized by anti-Semitism in this country and most parts of the world, they come together to celebrate the resistance of those slaves who stood up to the Pharaoh and followed Moses out of bondage. And I hope the haroseth was good.
Well, it'll end up in our potluck, no doubt. So if you didn't get to taste it, if you'd like to try it, or you want more, it'll be there. Wonderful. So it just so happens that besides Passover, this year, Muslims around the world are also observing the month of Ramadan, and it's happening right now. We're a little bit more than halfway through it. Ramadan is a month of fasting. Do you know what fasting means? Yeah? What does fasting mean? That's right. So during the month of Ramadan, they don't eat while the sun is up. And so they get up before the sun gets up and they eat together. And then they don't eat or drink all day long. And then the sun goes down and then they can, as Vaisal is going to tell us, open the fast, right? So why would you do that? Anybody have any guesses? Why would they fast all day? Hey, buddy, what's up? You want a hat? You want a hat? I've done worship services with babies on my hip before. I really have.
It takes a village.
It does. Why would you fast? Why would you fast all day and not eat? Because I know how much y'all like to eat. Yeah? Do you know why, Bella? Yeah, for religious purposes. And hi. Say hi to everybody. Oh. Go to Daddy. Oh. It's like, wait a minute, everybody's looking at me. Yeah, so it's a time of spiritual reflection, right? It is a time for growth, to learn about yourself and to improve yourself and to do better. So my sister lives over in the Middle East, in Qatar, and she has 6 children, and they celebrate Ramadan. And so I love to learn from them each year about Ramadan. And my niece Sarah says that she loves it because it teaches her patience. I can imagine if you cannot eat all day, you have to learn how to be patient for that sun to go down, right? Because it's going to go down when it's going to go down, not when you tell it to go down. My niece Miriam says she likes to read the Quran and to memorize some of the passages. And my sister says that fasting gives her perspective on how people might suffer from hunger and thirst. But most of all, when the sun goes down, they love to eat. That's the best part. And the being together, not just eating, but being together with family. That's what they really love. Now, we have someone here who grew up celebrating Ramadan. Vaisal is going to come share with us. Welcome, Vaisal.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Vaisal Dokur, and I'm a member of the UU, and I serve at different capacities. And I love that you're all here, and I like the opportunity to share. I was born and raised in Istanbul, Turkey, as a Muslim, and my childhood memories, a lot of them, especially with my relatives. My parents were actually from Kahramanmaraş City, which recently had the earthquake and a lot of sad events there. But growing up, we used to go there summers. I used to spend, summer times with my grandparents and other relatives there. And Ramadan month, as one of the pillars of the Islam, it moves around. So it may be in summer, like spring now, or winter. So being in Kahramanmaraş with my relatives there and experiencing Ramadan is, one of my good childhood memories. And before sharing a little bit over there, I want to tell about the Islam. There is 5 pillars of Islam, and one is number 1. The most important one is, of course, it is creed, which you believe in there is only one God, and Muhammad is the Creator's prophet. And as an Abrahamic religion, Islam also recognizes prior religions, the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament. The second pillar is the prayer. You have to pray 5 times a day. There's facing Mecca, where the sanctuary is that Kaaba. Most of you maybe have heard of it. The third pillar is zakat. That's you have to give basically to the poor your income. Since it came in 700s, it's kind of taxation at like some 2-3% of your income. You got to distribute to poor. And the fourth one is fasting. That's the Ramadan. And it is picked that because Ramadan is the month Prophet Muhammad got the Quran. The Quran is a thick book. He received it from the Creator during that time, the stories, and they memorize it. He memorized it, and other people memorize it, and it's celebrated with the fasting in the month of Ramadan. And the fifth pillar is Hajj, that is pilgrimage. Every Muslim required to visit at least one time in his or her or their lifetime Kaaba in Mecca. That's the first. So fasting, Ramadan is the fourth pillar, and it's not only just you don't eat food and drink. You're also not supposed to have sex or smoke or kind of. It is. To me, it actually more like resistance, because you're expected to resist all the negative urges, the greed, and you start fasting, and meaning you don't, and you're not supposed to drink also. That's like alcohol. The Islam doesn't, but it is in there also. If say you start your fast and somebody made you angry and you curse them, gone. Your fast is broken at that point. We call it spoiled, so it doesn't matter if you continue, because purpose of fasting is also making amends for past sins and not make any sin. And it's about good moral values, learning about religious, reading Quran as Heather's shared. Those are part of the reflecting about yourself, religion, the community. And the best part again is you get up early in the middle of the night. We call it sahur. It may be like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And part of it is related to the moon, because Islam has its own calendar. It's a moon calendar, so that's why the dates shift and stuff. So I remember my grandmother, two sides for wherever I am, and uncles, aunts, like getting up ready, preparing special dishes for that last meal of the night before fasting. And there would be always some surprise. As children, us getting up time and being part of that special preparation was really good. And then there is you hear the prayer from nearby mosque and stuff. That means that's the cutoff time. You start the fasting, and as a kid, we would challenge each other. I didn't fast much after I became 18 or 19 and stopped after a while, but early years, 13, 14, I recall, I had a lot of cousins there, my age group, so we would kind of who would do the longest and those things. And during the day, for us, it's much about finding it. We were Grapevine, the farmhouse area, find somewhere shady and rest so that take it easy for the kids. But the parents, they would be preparing for the dinner, because dinner called iftar, that was really special, and usually called other relatives, and the tables, special tables prepared for it. There was always something new special, and one thing I remember, regardless of how good the food was, is we opened, how you break your fast, by olives. I brought here some black olives. These are Turkish black olives from my special collection. I don't share with them everybody, so be aware. I brought you some here. These will be available if you want to taste it. It's kind of salty olive oil. They're not pitted, so there are seeds in there. If you taste it, be careful. I don't want you to break your teeth. But it's custom to us in Turkey that we would open our, break our fast with olives. That's how I remember it. And of course, the other thing is, you're ready, table is there, TV is on, radio is on, you're waiting for the start. But the most important sign for us is in Kahramanmaraş, they had this castle, old castle. It was a small city on top of a hill, and they fire a cannon over there. So we would look for, try to hear the cannon. Did they, fire the cannon, boom, suddenly you hear something, hooray, go for it now, cannon exploded, we would go eat. It's like, that was our Harman. Back in Istanbul city, no, there's no cannon firing, but, Maraş, small city, that was one thing we would look forward to. So, it's about, again, fasting is about, self-reflection and resisting to urges, the greed, and, making amends if you for your past sins, and be a better person. That's how it was taught to us. And in that sense, I look at it positively, and it's good to share this story with you. Thank you for giving me this chance. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allah'ım,
Thank you.
senin rızan için oruç tuttum.
Yeah, that was one of the signs on the TV. I sat around and he said, God, I'm fasting for you, and it goes on there. It's a prayer beginning. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you. So there's one more holiday that's happening today. Do you know what it is? It's Easter. We call it Easter. That's right. In fact, this whole past week has been called Holy Week in the Christian faith tradition. It is a week that includes Good Friday and Easter, the telling of the story of Jesus' death and resurrection, and it has messages of sacrifice, of loss, of justice, of freedom, and resistance. As Unitarian Universalists, we don't always make a big deal of Easter. Sometimes the story of Jesus' death and resurrection doesn't resonate with us. You see, early Unitarian theologians reasoned and declared their faith in the idea that Jesus was not God himself, but a great man and a prophet of God. Early Universalist theologians denied the idea of original sin and proclaimed that everyone gets into heaven. So the idea that the resurrection of Jesus redeems humankind from sin and grants eternal life to all who believe in him doesn't seem to fit very well with our celebration of Easter and our theology. But if we were to carefully examine and take to heart who Jesus actually was as a human being, we might find meaning in the resurrection story. I love these words. They were written by Jim Palmer, who I follow on Facebook. And he's not a UU, but he has a lot of the same theology. He says, with respect to Jesus, I resonate with the story about him as a human being. I see Jesus as one who lived a life of compassion. Do we live lives of compassion? What do you think? Is that one of our values? Compassion? Yeah. He stood with the victims of this world against their oppressors. We've been talking about that, right? Standing up with other people and helping them to be free and not oppressed. And tied his destiny to the marginalized and powerless against the iron fist of the religious and political establishment. Jim Palmer says, I see Jesus as a man who lived courageously according to his convictions. He is depicted as a deeply spiritual and wise man who challenged people to find true peace and happiness inside themselves. I understand Jesus as someone who believed that every human being is worthy. Have you heard that around here? What do you think? We are all worthy. That's our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. That every human being is worthy, loved, and belongs. And Jesus tangibly and fearlessly expressed this to others. So Easter, it symbolizes the resurrection of Jesus, but also it's an opportunity to celebrate when we see the fruits of our faith come into full bloom. It's the small victories in the social justice world that give us hope, even knowing that we haven't completely solved all of the world's problems. It's the small moments of peace that we work for amid the chaos that keep us going. And so the resurrection is a reminder that in the end, this is all worth it. And we must find a way to hold on to hope. It is what sustains us as social change agents. So reframing Easter and to understand it as renewal of joy, right? That's why we have Easter bonnets. It's a joyful renewal. It's, after 40 days of Lent, when Christians sometimes would just wear, older clothes, right? This was the older tradition to just wear your older clothes, but on Easter, you get a new dress. And you can top it off with a fabulous hat. So it's a renewal of joy and hope that we need to keep resisting the forces of oppression. And all of these holy days that we shared with you today are an opportunity for renewal, for finding strength together in collective faith and collective action. So I want to sing a song. It's a sort of strange song. It's called When the Daffodils Arrive, which is really joyful, but it's to this Hasidic tune. And so it combines Judaism with the idea of the resurrection and with the idea of spring, and we're going to sing that now. It's number 62. Yes, the words are up there, and you can stand up and wiggle. Some wiggle time? Some wiggle time? Yeah. Tune. I was very wrong. It was a Beatles tune. Little did I know. Okay, all right. Surprise. Thanks, all. That was fun. Well, we're going to engage in a time of reflection, joyful reflection, as we do our weekly ritual of joys and sorrows. First, Peter will do a reading, and then
this is called Easter Again by Linda Susan Ulrich. We live inside a paradox. Humans generally don't like to admit it. We much prefer tidy, stable, comprehensible, logical ways of getting through the day. But paradox is woven into the fabric of this particular universe we inhabit. Light is both a particle and a wave. Imaginary numbers describe the math of physical phenomena. Love and grief are inextricably linked, as are rage and sorrow, suffering and compassion, life and death. Time itself is both linear and cyclical. Each person's life traces a single arc, yet patterns emerge and reemerge. Fear always seems to return. Goodness knows terror finds its way back into the news. We always seem in need of help to roll back the big stones that block our way. Yet we also come back to the Alleluia, even if its absence has gone on far long than the 40 days of Lent. We raise each other's spirits when our sacred places seem empty. We anoint one another. We engage in a demanding faith that asks us to love the next world into being here today. We are joyful through, and we are joyful though we have considered all the facts. We practice resurrection. It is Easter again, my friends, and you are surrounded by a multitude who wish you well.
We invite you up to the chalice table to drop a stone in the bowl of water for the joys and sorrows you carry with you today. Can shape the resistance. The stories of collective faith that we heard today are the stories of the strength of our ancestors and how we too can harness the power to overcome injustice together. What we always find in these stories is the joy of being together, the joy that sustains us in the resistance, the joy of celebrating. And we're going to keep doing that now. First of all, I want to say thank you to all of you for joining us for our multi-generational worship service. Thank you to all of you for being patient and loving and kind and joining us in this worship service. We love having you. Now, this is the part Dakota's waiting for. Okay. But wait, first we're going to extinguish the chalice. But after we extinguish the chalice, we're going to have an Easter egg hunt. And this isn't just for the kids, it's also for the grown-ups. So help the kids And then you have an opportunity to decorate an Easter bonnet, make it fabulous. I don't know if we have any pictures. Look at, y'all, like, you can do that. We can make some great Easter hats together. And of course, we're going to eat. We are going to eat. So let's extinguish the chalice. And then we'll do the eggs. Yeah, you ready? You ready? Okay. Oh, Dakota has to extinguish the chalice. Oh. It's already extinguished. That's okay. It's just ritual, so we can pretend. There you go. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of commitments. These we burn in our hearts and out into the world. Okay, so are we ready to find eggs and have some fun? You don't know what's in those eggs, do you?
Easter egg hunt.
Oh, wait till you find out what's in the eggs. Okay, Lucy, you want to join in the Easter egg hunt? They're all around the sanctuary as far as I know. Okay, and grown-ups, you can help. All right, go ahead, find some eggs. Oh, right, you want to find some